Hello friends, now I am going to start to discuss with you about HUF, Hindu Undivided Family. Generally there are so many businesses run in different way of the forms in economic activities, but this kind of the activity is exist by law, means our law has established this kind of the activities. Some people starts the business by his own name as being a prestige and the goodwill, then it become the brand name of the business. So in that way, under the Hindu law, these kind of the firms have been established. Business acquired by the way of inheritance by Hindu families, undivided families, all brothers, all sons are living together and running business under one name, whose name is taken as the head of the family. He is called Karta. Who is running the business by his name, the business is being run, he is called Karta. If the senior-most person in age is not wish to run the business will be taken under the control of next eldest person in all male persons. Such firms are popular only in two countries right now, India and Nepal, because Nepal was publicly declared as the internationally Hindu country, and India is the secular country, but the majority living in India are Hindus. So in India and the Nepal, both the countries, this kind of the business firm is running. Okay, now I am discussing here with its characteristics. The firm of the Hindu Undivided Family is come in existence by law, means law created this firm under the Hindu law, so it is called Hindu Undivided Family, HUF. By the same name the business is run. Second point, the management. Generally such companies management is run under the control and leadership of senior most person by age. He is called Karta and he is the head of the business. His decisions are applied to the business in all the way. Third point, independent field of operation. Business management is done by Karta independently, and other members are taking part in the activity of business, but they have no right to take part to interrupt the business by their own way, and no one can make any objection when the decision is taken by Karta. It is not suitable as per the HUF terms. So the Karta is completely independent in operation of the business. Fourth point, membership. Generally, okay, here I want to indicate one example. If any family is run by as a head father, but business is run by his father, means the eldest person had started business, but by age he is unable to give time to the business, but his decision is most appropriate by experience. So okay, he is not coming daily to the business, everybody knows. So the sons are taking looking after for the business and everything, but when the decision is required to take, all family members are meeting together and taking decision by the given guidance, the eldest person, the grandfather. So in that situation, here the ultimate control is in hand of grandfather, so he is called karta. Okay, he is daily coming or business is not important, but when the decision is required to take, he is taking active participation in decision making process for the business. Next, the fourth point is membership. As the any child is taken birth in same family, will become the member naturally in same Hindu undivided family business. So there is no necessity of taking membership. Okay, here I want to discuss one thing more. If any child is adopted by adoption law, he is not by birth the kid of this family, but when he is adopted and declared as the son of the person, then he will also become part of this HUF. So generally HUF membership is coming by birth. So it is compulsorily required that the person should be considered as the member of the family, mostly by birth, as the kid is required. Right, my friends? Okay. Now the fifth point is financial control. See, such businesses are controlled or ruled by only karta. So as decision powers, same way financial powers are in hands of karta. He is taking ultimate decision about the financial disciplines. What to explain, whom to explain is not required. He is ultimate decision making person. So in the financial way also he is taking decision time by time. Next one is liability. See, the entire business is run under administration of karta. We all know this now. So the liabilities are also declared unlimited with karta only. But what about the other members of the family? Their liabilities are limited, but the karta's liability is unlimited. So in case any kind of the due is increased, so whichever the property in the name of the karta is there will be taken and confiscated for the recovery of the dues. So in present days we can see any family is mostly hand over the properties under the name of the other family members, but not in name of the karta. This time we have seen this just to restrict the confiscation on the personal property. But if it is in the name of the karta, then it will be confiscated for the recovery of the dues. So in that way, the karta's liability is also unlimited. Right, my friends? So next point, lifespan. The seventh point of the discussion, lifespan. Okay, here I want to discuss one thing. When a karta is died, it does not mean the business is over. Naturally, the other family member by age, the oldest one, will run the business in continuation. So in that situation, the business will continue. Only the karta will be changed. And related bank related activities will be done by the remaining family members, because its status is in economic way is declared as the HUF. If it is declared as the partnership, then the partnership could be dissolved. But here it is declared as the HUF. See, this is the importance of understanding every different characteristics. For sole proprietorship, the characteristics are different. For HUF, the characteristics are different. For a partnership, the characteristics are different. For company, the characteristics are different. So as the characteristics is clear, a person understand, he can understand the concept for which the business could be start under which head. Head means title. Okay, let's continue. I was talking about the lifespan. So the business lifespan could not be ended. As the eldest person died, the next eldest person will take the charge. Right? This is the procedure. So in the seniority way, by age, the seniority way is continued in the HUF. Okay. The eighth point is difficulty in raising funds. The success of such firms depend on efficiency of Karta. If the firm is depend on other family member, then the fundraising is also in hands of the other family member. But how to raise the additional capital? That is the problem. Because if Karta is taking money from other, then what could be their rights will come here, because only Hindu undivided family members will become the part of this kind of the business. So if anybody gives the money, he cannot get the part of the profit. So it will be declared as the borrowings. So the borrowings is the different thing. But to raise the capital is the problematic, because other person who is investing money in such organization, he cannot take the part in decision making process as per the law. Okay, to include him, to call them is a different thing, but law is not allowing in the term of the legal procedure. That is the point what I want to say. So it is difficult to raise the fund under the head of the HUF. Next one is insolvency. The last point of the characteristics. See, when the firm becomes insolvent, you know the insolvency means company is unable to repay the dues in the market. Such a situation is called insolvency, and for that purpose the application will be sent to the court of law. The family members are declared insolvent. That is the dangerous thing, because everybody is the part of the business. So as the company under the HUF head is declared insolvent, then the members are also declared insolvent. But remember, minor members are not included as the insolvent. So for payment of debt, shares of all family members could be taken in consideration. So the liability of every member as per the share in the firm, but liability of the Karta is naturally unlimited. We have already discussed earlier. But in that situation, every person who is working as the running the business will become the insolvent. Is the dangerous thing for every person who is running the business, as the son, as the brother, as the elder person. Everyone who is running the business or active participation of any person in HUF create the problem for them in case of insolvency. So here I have discussed with you about HUF. Right, my friends? Now my next topic is coming here is partnership. So main point you remember, partnership is different from HUF. HUF declared under the Hindu law, and the partnership is declared under the Partnership Indian Partnership Act. This is basic change or difference in both the place. In both kind of the firms, the participation of more than one person is seen. In sole proprietorship, the participation was of only one person, but here participation is of more than one person. That is the important point. we have to understand. But in case it is converted from HUF to the Partnership Act, then the partnership deed is required to be made, and the exact percentage of shares and distribution of profit as per the share is required to be declared in partnership deed. That is the document which every partner has to sign. So the sole proprietorship, the partnership, and the Hindu undivided family, both all are different to each other. Okay. In case of sole proprietorship, the son is working with the father, he could get the salary. In HUF, the percentage of profit will be shared. But in partnership, everybody is considered as the partner. That is the main point what I want to say. So the partnership firm is, as a business, come in existence only when the partnership deed is signed, or the all people connected in the business considerably accept that they are partner and they would like to contribute in the business by contributing specific proportion of money to create the capital. In that situation, the partnership come in existence. So the main point or the element of the Partnership Act is the agreement should come in existence from all the people about sharing the profit of business, and to run the business everybody will be declared as the agent of all. Nobody is principal, nobody is other person. But here the basic part of the topic is acceptance of everybody's percentage of profit in business. Right, my friends? So the Partnership Act come in presence by acceptance of sharing of profit for all the persons who are contributing in the business as the partner. Partnership started before so many time under Indian Partnership Act 1932, means it is a frame of business or form of business before the Indian independence. It came in existence to reduce the limitation of sole proprietorship, as like the huge capital was not possible, as like the efficient administration power may not possible in the sole proprietorship, and only risk bearing capacity may reduce. These are the reasons through which the sole proprietorship was having some problem. But in case of partnership, it is become possible to raise the fund for all. So I hope that you all have understood the meaning of partnership. I am again explaining the concept, meaning of partnership. Partnership is such a business system in which the ownership of business remain with more than one person, and in same way the business is merged by all or by one or more persons on behalf of all other partner. I repeat, partnership is such a business system in which ownership of the business remains with more than one person, and in same way the business is managed by all or by one or more on behalf of all partners. So in that situation, the result of such business is bound to all partners and accepted by all partners. Right, my friends? So here the concept is being explained properly. Let us discuss the characteristics of partnership firm. Actually, when I am discussing the characteristics, there are 11 characteristics. Carefully understand. The relation could be created by agreement as I have stated, but it is easy to understand that agreement mostly if done in written, then it is preferable. Otherwise the oral agreement is also accepted because everybody is ready to accept and the morally everybody is honest. In that situation it is easy. Second, establishment procedure. See, as the sole proprietorship, same way the partnership firm is easy to establish, very simple. Only one thing is required, that the partnership is done, declared. If the deed is come in existence, then it is better. One does not have to pass through anyone. I mean to say, one means anyone have not to pass through any complexity of procedure of law, as like the company law when we are establishing any company under the Indian Companies Act. So remember, there are so many situations are arising in term of the business existence if the form of the business is changed. Okay. The third point is coming, registration. There is no compulsory requirement of registration of partnership firm. Any partnership can be done by registrar of firms where only partnership deed is submitted for registration. So in that way the business may come in existence easily. Only simple thing everybody has to remember, just to submit the registration partnership deed, submit to registrar of the firms, nothing else. And by the same way the registration will be done with the category as partnership firm. Any name could be allowed, no name is not a matter. Next, number of partners. See here, the number of partner has been, earlier was different. In 2013 Companies Act, clause number 464, minimum number of partners always before 2013, after is not a matter, generally minimum 2, but more than numbers if 10 persons as per Companies Act clause number 464. But after the change, amendment means change in 2014 in Companies Act clause number 10, maximum partners are 50. So it is necessary to say that 2 to 50 is essential to declare. Next one is purpose. The main purpose of partnership firm is to carry out only legal activities to earn a profit, not in the illegal way any business is allowed. Any activity without profit is not considered as the activity of partnership firm. It is considered as the general activity. So if any social activity is done, any religious activity is done, it is illegal. But in term of the partnership firm, it cannot be considered, because here the sharing of the profit is not seen, or any non-profitable activities done will not come in term of any partnership existence. The next point is capital generation. So basically, when partnership firm develop or established, all partners come with specific capital in the firm, but it is not necessary to bring the money, because major part of any one person, and women are also working with their skill and specific part of the profit they are getting according to their contribution in the business by their skill also. So money is not necessary, but if the capital is brought by any person, then it is better. Next point is management. See, in partnership firm, all partners can work jointly, and one is maybe by accepted all as the decision making person. But generally in the partnership firm, it is followed that the what they have taken decision jointly according to the partnership deed. So any or more than one partner can take part in any proper decision making process of management to run the business. It is essential. Now the 8th point is coming, unlimited liability. See, in sole proprietorship we have seen all the person who is running the business is having complete liability on his shoulder. Same way, here also all partners are agent of each other, so whichever the decision is taken will apply to everyone. So jointly and personally all are responsible. So in all the way, every person's property in his own name, whichever is brought in control for recovery of the debt of the partnership firm. So in that situation, all partners will come in control in the recovery of debt, and their properties will be taken or confiscated. Right, my friends? So here it is another dangerous thing. For unlimited liability will apply to every partner. That is the point. Next one is transfer of ownership. See, in a partnership firm, transfer of ownership is not easy, because if any person is died, the partnership firm will be disposed. So mostly without consent of all partner, neither any partner can transfer his share in favor of any other person, maybe remain partners or maybe brought any new partner in the exist company as the partnership firm. If any partner transfer his share without consent of all partner, then any partner can be bring dissolution of firm. So the dangerous thing is this, that just even a single person's removal from the present structure in the partnership firm will create danger to the existence of the present partnership firm, nothing else. The 10th point is the legal status. As per the Indian Partnership Act 1932, partners' right, duties, rules, registration of firm as well as other provisions are very clear. So if the partnership deed is done and all are saying that they have been agreed to remain as the partner, in that situation all responsibilities will arise as per the Indian Partnership Act 1932 in the legal way. Right, my friends? Last point is lifespan of the firm. See, it is very easily declared that earlier I have already stated that if any person from present partnership firm is resigning, is died, in all the situation, most probably partnership firms are losing their status as the partnership firm. If he lost his mental balance, in all this situation also the partnership firm comes in end, but remain partners can create their new partnership firm with the same business with mutual consent by sharing or contributing part in the business firm with allowing new partner or with the same partners they can run the partnership firm, but basically partnership firm come into end, but sometimes by mutually consent other partners can continue the same business, may not require to dissolve the activity. Right, my friends? So here I have completely discussed with you the second topic, characteristics of partnership firm also. Right, my friends?